Good evening, and welcome to the fourth annual online fundraiser for International Literacy and Development, or ILAD for short. I'm Michelle Schubert, ILAD's Director of Global Resources. Throughout the program this evening, I'm going to be bringing on various colleagues and coworkers, but currently I'm joined by Dr. Kelsey Daniels, our Monitoring and Evaluation Manager, something we'll talk more about in depth in just a moment. Kelsey, I'm so glad you could join us.
Thanks, Michelle. I am so glad to be here. Tonight, our theme is Spot the Difference, an online event for gaining perspective and giving generously. For tonight's event, we've asked friends of ILAD to host watch parties, and we are so grateful that so many of you said yes and invited your friends and family to watch with you. This is a wonderful time to be together as we head into Thanksgiving week. And tonight, as you consider what you're thankful for, maybe take it a step further and consider the areas of your friends or family members' lives where you can see them really flourishing. In what ways can you see that your loved ones are doing well? Once you think of some evidence of their flourishing, take a moment to write it in the chat and share it with us.
Yeah, so if you're watching on one of these screens that you can make those comments, that might be YouTube, it might be Facebook, go ahead and do that. Comment about your friends or family who are flourishing currently. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our goals for this evening. Tonight, we are needing to raise $200,000. And the easiest way to give is by scanning the QR code that you see in the corner of the screen. Or if you signed up to host a watch party, you may have received the ILAD napkins. The napkins also have a very large QR code on them that you can scan. When you scan that QR code, a simple giving form will show up. It's the same giving form that's on the bottom of this screen if you're watching on our website. Very easy to fill out as you do that. If that's not an option for you, if you're not watching on one of your devices that makes that easy, you can also call that number on the screen that's scrolling. That number is 682-463-6056. You can call that number and an ILAD representative will be there to help assist your donation. Last but not least, you could also text that number, though we cannot text you back at that number. So if you text us, we'll need to know your name and how much you plan to give. So to track our progress tonight, we have a image of people who are not flourishing. And this is that image. You'll see they're barefoot, they have holes in their clothing, it's rainy, they're downcast. Keep an eye on this image because throughout the progress of the evening, as donations come in, the picture is going to change little by little to show the progress that you guys are all making towards helping that family flourish. Okay, now with that, Kelsey, we mentioned earlier that you are the monitoring and evaluation manager for ILAD. What does that mean?
Yeah, so actually, Michelle, you were just talking about our goals for the evening, and being a monitoring and evaluation manager has a little something to do with goals as well. Basically, I help our teams figure out whether we're accomplishing our goals as an organization and how we can do that even better.
Yeah. So, however, a goal like human flourishing seems kind of abstract or fuzzy. How can you really measure that?
Yeah, so as Michelle said, many of you know that ILAD's mission is to promote human flourishing. And so we don't just say that because it's a nice sounding buzzword. We actually want to measure our tangible progress toward human flourishing. But Michelle, like you say, human flourishing can be pretty abstract. So thankfully, there are great minds out there who've been identifying ways to make it more concrete. For example, the researchers at Harvard's Human Flourishing Program have actually broken human flourishing down into 6 measurable components. And those components are happiness and life satisfaction, meaning and purpose, character and virtue, physical and mental health, close social relationships, and financial and material stability. And actually, these are some of the very things that you all thought of when you were sharing evidence of flourishing in your loved ones' lives. And when we say we promote human flourishing at ILAD, these are the domains that we're talking about. In fact, these are the things that we're actually beginning to measure through before and after surveys in the communities that we work among. So far, we've only had stories of human flourishing, but now we're starting to put numbers to those stories as well.
Okay, so Kelsey, when we look at those survey results and then we see growth in the areas that you listed, maybe that was physical and mental health or financial stability, you're saying then when we see that growth, that means that the communities we're working among are truly on the pathway to flourishing.
That's right. And speaking of seeing growth in the communities that we work among, let's bring on our Executive Director, Brenda Holland, to highlight some of the stories of flourishing from this year.
Hey, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Kelsey. Hi, everyone out there.
Hey. So, Brenda, our theme this evening, as you know, is Spot the Difference. Could you share with us some examples of the transformations that we've witnessed in communities before and after ILAD's initiatives?
Absolutely, Michelle. There's just so much to share. It's kind of hard to know where to begin, but I think when I think about the difference that's been made in the communities where we work, one of the first ones that comes to mind is our longest running program, which is an agricultural development program in Togo. In the rural areas, 60% of people live in poverty. But we work with 1,500 farmers who now have greater financial stability because they're implementing new techniques that they're learning on the demonstration farm. And what is really encouraging is that before the ILAD project in 2013, only 5% of the farmers were landowners. Now 25% of farmers own their land. Land ownership, like this is a game changer for the community.
Wow. Yeah, I love the land ownership component. Also, I love the entrepreneurial aspect.
Yeah, and speaking of entrepreneurship, we opened up a business development center in Togo, which all of you, our donors, helped to launch in late 2021. And we're seeing local entrepreneurs develop greater financial stability through building businesses that increase their income and provide employment for others. And one of those businesses is Wells Without Borders. It employs 10 people and has provided 3 pro bono wells in the first year and hopes to increase that to 5 wells this year. And this is just an example of how we see ILAD changing people's lives in financial stability, but not just that, also increasing people's character and virtue as people are giving back to their own communities out of love for their neighbor.
Yeah, I love that. And this is jobs that are creating more jobs. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And, research actually shows that having meaningful work is a key pathway towards flourishing. So that is super great news.
Yeah. Also, another difference that we see in Togo from when we first began to now is in our local language literacy program. Before this program started, which I was actually a part of way back when, there were actually no literacy classes in these villages. But this year alone, we have close to 150 literacy students, and we have over 350 graduates from over the years. Through literacy, we see women having a greater sense of confidence and dignity, which, as you can imagine, contributes to greater life satisfaction.
Ooh, life satisfaction. That's another domain of human flourishing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, Brenda, one of the projects that's closest to my heart is the children's education that we've been involved with in Togo. Can you tell us about the differences made there?
Yeah, sure. Back in 2018, these same villages, there were no middle schools or high schools. Kids were having to go, 6 kilometers and live away from home if they actually wanted to get a secondary education. Now there's a middle school and a high school providing education for 127 students out in this rural area. And this past school year, the middle school boasted a 100% pass rate, which is amazing considering they don't have electricity. So it's just amazing. And we see some of these same students, including girls, who are pursuing higher education even at the university level. And then I also want to bring up a highlight in education that is a little bit more broad. It's in several of the language communities around the globe. ILAD's worked with local communities to help develop their very first writing systems in their language, kind of like creating an alphabet and documenting the grammar. This allows books to be translated and further education of the community members, and then also using dictionaries and grammars coupled with technology. We are working to bring these languages online into digital spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Brenda is saying all these things, to you at home who are watching, she's mentioning a bunch of things. But all of these things that have happened are only able to happen because of people like you who have chosen to be generous towards our programs. So as you hear Brenda mentioning this difference before and after, these are literally differences that you guys have made by donating to ILAD throughout the years.
That is right, Michelle. We're just so grateful, and we hope that you all understand really the immense transformation that you are a part of when you give.
So, Brenda, what about our work in Guinea, West Africa?
Okay, yeah. So still in West Africa, but we have a little country called Guinea. We have another demonstration farm there. And this past year, they introduced a new kind of tree that is nutritional and medicinal. And we found that the local people are super excited about its potential to help with the physical health of the community.
Very wonderful. I think we're going to have an image of that, but it might not be working, so we can move on. So we've heard about some of our West African.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. So we've heard about a couple of our West African locations, but what about some of our non-African locations?
Okay, yeah. One project that has come our way since 2022 is actually on the front lines in Ukraine. We have a teammate, David Maximovich, who is an EMT, and he's also a linguist, and he lived in the Ukraine for several years. And he is now providing first aid training for civilians on the front lines. And another thing he's been doing is distributing a water straw, and that filters water because a lot of the water sources have been damaged due to the war.
The community.
All right.
And
there's Kelsey.
Thanks so much, Brenda. That's exciting work. It sounds like that'll really have a positive influence on the community's physical and mental health. So as most of our friends, family, and donors know, and as our name suggests, we work all over the world. But Brenda, what about our work right here in the United States?
Sure. About 2 years ago, we started planning and working towards a business development center that was specifically focusing on refugees' needs. And we found that this was a gap that we could help to fill and to help these refugees find financial stability and increase confidence. And just this past week, we've launched 3 new refugee-owned businesses in Dallas, and we have about 30 refugee entrepreneurs in the pipeline. And then we also have another project in Dallas that's about 3 years ago, we started working with a pre-literate refugee group, they don't know how to read or write any language when they show up here in the US. And so we started providing in-home English classes combined with citizenship classes. And we've had 29 refugees gain citizenship, and we have over 40 families in the English classes.
Wow. Supporting refugees in both work and education, that's likely to influence several domains of their flourishing, including life satisfaction.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, Brenda, I'm curious, could you zoom us in a little bit and tell us what that kind of life satisfaction might actually look like for a refugee?
Sure. I think the best way to do that would to just share a story that embodies the idea of spotting the difference in lives from then to now. So I want to tell you about one of our first students. Her name is Nur. She has come a long way in the last 3 years, and she was recently filling out a job application for herself. And as she got to the section where you kind of have to make a check mark on, are you, number one, asylum seeker, refugee, immigrant, or U.S. citizen? And she confidently marked, I'm a refugee. But then her ILAD teacher clarified that since she'd become a citizen last year, she actually was no longer classified as a refugee. Her eyes got really big, and then she sat in disbelief for a moment. And I think the teacher said you could just actually see an identity shift happening within her. Then her teacher told her, you know what, Nur, your home will always be Burma, but now you actually belong here as an American. You are not a refugee. You are one of us. And she said Nur just couldn't get over her new reality. And, I was thinking, perhaps she shouldn't, because every time this happens, it's a small victory over the challenges that these refugees have faced, including genocide and pure evil. So here and now, they are no longer refugees, but citizens with all the rights and privileges that come with it. And I just think this story, among many others, just reminds us of the incredible impact that you, our donors, are having on people's lives, like Noor, through your support of ILAD, helping them not to just survive, but to truly flourish. So I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us.
Yeah, wow.
That is so inspiring. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, Brenda, thank you for being on with us. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me on, and thanks to all of you at home who have made these things happen through your donations.
Okay, now let's take a quick look at how we are progressing toward our goal tonight. As you know, we were aiming for 200,000, and currently we have, it looks like 70,000 raised.
All
And
right.
yeah, this picture now, what used to be dark and gloomy, now has color. They have shoes. And so the picture is progressing little by little as you guys are giving. So 70,000. Thank you guys so much. That is wonderful.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for that update, Michelle. And remember, the easiest way to give is by scanning that QR code on the screen or on your napkins. If you're unable to scan the QR code, you can also call or text the number on your screen. If you do decide to text, please include your name and the amount that you plan to give. Remember that we won't be able to text you back during this event, but we will contact you in the coming days to follow up on your pledge.
Yeah, at this point, we would have liked to bring on one of our coworkers from the Middle East branch, but it's actually about 2 a.m. where they live. So we thought we would let her sleep and just pre-record an update from that team member. So let's play that video now. Hey, Kimberly.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, good. Can you start by introducing yourself and then telling us about your role with ILAD?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Kimberly, and I serve on a team with 6 others in the Middle East. And we work with a minority people group and have been doing that for several years. And my role on the team is primarily to work with community development with the ladies in the community.
Okay, wow. So, what is the need? Why are you doing community development in this area?
Yeah, our people group, we call them the Sojos. The Sojos are a really discriminated against people group. So it is really hard for them to find jobs. They are living in abject poverty, usually on the outskirts of town. They don't have access to a lot of things. A lot of them lack an education. A lot of them lack job skills, and they speak a minority language. And so we have chosen to work with them and to partner alongside them and serve this community.
So you say that a lot of them don't have job skills. So then what do they do? How do they survive?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So sometimes the guys can pick up some manual labor jobs. Sometimes the men can scrap metal and kind of collect that and sell that. Women and kids often beg. Sometimes they're able to sell goods. They can buy at a discount and try to sell them on street corners and stuff like that. But it's extreme, and they do often live day to day. And we have conversations often about, I didn't eat today, or I don't know what I'm going to feed my kid, or I can't buy milk for my baby. Those are realities that they face on a daily basis.
Wow. Wow. So then what is ILAD doing about that? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, ILAD, we've been involved in a lot of great things. It's been amazing to watch. So we've done a lot of community development initiatives, most of them being pretty small scale and kind of grassroots, kind of coming out of a response to what we feel the needs of the community are. So that could be mom and baby classes. We did a marriage and parenting class with some of the men. With literacy stuff, we've been able to develop an alphabet for their language and orthography, and have then developed literacy curriculum to go alongside that to teach them both their language and the language of wider communication, Arabic. And then recently, we started a business with some of the women in the community to be able to give them employment and income opportunity. So,
Awesome. Can you tell me more about that business?
yeah, it's called Freedom Designs. My teammate Amy and I run it together, and it started really small. Two ladies in the community that expressed a real desire for a different future. And that's not a common thing that we see in the community. So we really wanted to encourage that and stimulate that. And so started with a couple leather jackets, and we made some earrings. And then since then it's grown. And we now have 7 women that are working alongside us, and 2 of them are managers. And we make all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Out of all of this, all the things that you've been involved in, what is the like best outcome that you've seen?
Yeah, I think for me personally, the coolest thing that I've seen is a difference in the confidence that our employees have in themselves. You know, to be kind of devalued by the larger society, and then sometimes even within some cultural norms, to be told that your value comes from having lots of kids, or your value comes from raising strong sons, or anything like that. To be able to allow these women to grow in skills and grow in leadership, and being given opportunities to work in a really dignified way and provide for their families and be able to make decisions, all of those things. You just see this transformation of confidence that these ladies have, and especially our 2 managers, our 2 original employees, to see them grow in leadership. It's a really amazing thing to be able to watch and be a part of.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds incredible. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for the work that you do, and tell your team we say hi. And
Yeah,
again,
thank
thanks
you.
for joining me for this video.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Wow. Thank you so much for doing that interview with Kimberly, Michelle. It was so exciting to hear about the Sojo women not only taking on leadership roles in their business, but also growing in their sense of meaning and purpose. That was great.
Yeah. And actually, I meant to wear the earrings that they make tonight, and then halfway here, I forgot them, or realized I forgot them. So, but yeah. Also, a few minutes ago, we heard Brenda mention our refugee programs that take place right here in the States. And earlier this year, we were able to make a video to give a little bit more of an inside look. Let's watch that video now.
You know, when you grow up thinking your life is going to be one way, and then in a second, everything is different. You have to reframe your entire life.
10 years of fight or flight, 10 years of bumps, 10 years of sandstorm. I remember the night when I heard 2 of my husband's partners got killed.
And one day, my dad said we have to leave the house. ISIS start entering the city from the other side. We heard like they took my cousins, 2 of them, and they never back.
At the same night, we just like got a call, and he said to my husband, "You are the next. Say bye to your wife, say bye to your son." So we left everything.
We ran away by our car with just a backpack and a one dream to be in a safe place.
It's hard, even when I just like try to remember the good memories. It's hard to find the good memories.
There's no food. The winter came there, no gas, no electricity.
There is no word, there is no sentence can describe the feeling. But of the end, I'm lucky because we got approved to came in the United States.
In June, I got the visa to came here.
Welcome you on board at flight 797.
Dallas-Fort Worth has been a top 4 destination for refugees coming into the U.S. about 10% of those refugees worldwide have been shown to be entrepreneurial.
And they have to start from scratch in a new country, having to learn all of the systems.
Language is going to be a barrier. Not knowing the formal credit system here, not understanding banking and how the banking system works.
Some of them come from places where you barter for your groceries. And so to learn how we do things and how you have to account for everything and the paperwork that's involved and the legal things involved is a lot. So ILAD's business development project does a lot to partner with these people in starting a better future for themselves as well as for their families. We also have an education and social services program that seeks to provide citizenship and English classes for Rohingya refugees. We're also building other programs to serve them in knowledge of health education and systems and how to navigate things in America that we hope one day, as that community becomes more resourced, we hope that they could then step into some of that business development as well.
The Business Development Center guides refugees into starting their own business. We do everything from financial coaching and guidance and understanding the formal credit system, all the way through business ideation and what the market is, to understanding how to approach a lender for your small business. And then we just do ongoing coaching, ways to pursue growth for your small business.
All of these things, ILAD provide refugees to skip all this struggling.
Ultimately, we would love to see this program and our services be run in the hands of the community themselves, local people serving their own community.
We like to see the refugees go from decision takers to decision makers, where they are making decisions for themselves and their family, to influencers, where they are influencing others with what they've learned, with the things that they bring to the table.
I don't want to see any refugees face the same struggling I faced before.
That's why I work with ILAD, to make it easier for the refugee community.
Because we are a non-profit organization, we hope we can get raising to continue helping the most refugees living in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I hope to be wider.
From serving a small group here in Dallas-Fort Worth all the way to refugees throughout the country.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Wow, what a powerful story. I cannot imagine everything that Dalal and Bian have gone through, but I am so, so grateful for their hearts to use what they've gone through to help other refugees build a better life here in the States.
Yeah, we can't do it without people like that in the community willing to help more people in the community. We also can't do it without generous donors, and that's what tonight's all about. So let's take a moment to look at the progress towards our goal. So as you guys know, 200,000 was the goal for tonight. Originally these people in the picture didn't have shoes on. Now they have shoes on. What's next? You can maybe see too, they have a thatched roof in the back. Let's see the update. Here we go. Now it's a thatched roof. They have a tin roof. This is a huge step for people that live in rural areas. It means that their house is much less likely to burn down, things like that. They have vibrant clothing, or becoming more vibrant. They have some food in their basket. Tonight, it looks like our update right now is that we have 128,000 raised so far. Thank you guys so much. Yeah. And remember, the easiest way to give is by scanning that QR code in the screen, in the corner of the screen, or by scanning the QR code on your napkins if you have the ILAD napkins at home. You can also call that number on the screen, 682-463-6056. Call that number. Let us know what you'd like to give, and an ILAD representative can help you make that donation. Also, you can text that number, but we can't text back. You can text and let us know your name and what you plan to give, and we will follow up with you in days to come to make good on that donation. If you would like to make a larger gift that might be harder to do than filling out the form, you can give via DAF, you can give stocks. There's all sorts of ways to give, and you can still call that number. Let us know what you'd like to give and how you'd like to give it so we can add it to the running total tonight. All that said, Kelsey, thank you so much for joining me and for helping us all understand a little better what human flourishing is and how we at ILAD measure it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Michelle. Bye.
Bye. So just a quick moment for some housekeeping. Many of you generously offered to host watch parties for tonight's program, and we have a competition going on. We have money to give away. Well, money that can be given to you to donate to the ILAD project of your choice. So we are looking for the 3 biggest watch parties. The top 3 biggest watch parties will receive $4,000 to be donated to any ILAD project of their choice. And the way that you can prove that you're hosting one of the 3 biggest watch parties is this. Text us at that number on the screen. Text 4 things. We need a picture of your watch party. It can just be an easy selfie. Text the name of the person who registered, the number of adults present, and what project you would like to give to if your watch party is one of the biggest. So again, text us a picture, text us the name of the person who registered to host, the number of people present, and the project that you would like to give to if yours is one of the 3 biggest watch parties. We will also be drawing random registrants later that will each win $1,000 for the project of their choice. But remember, again, we can't text you back. So just keep that in mind. Right now, as we move forward, I will now be joined by Will Little, one of ILAD's donors. Will is one of the co-founders and managing directors of Proto Ventures, a venture capital group and new company incubator. Also, he accompanied Brenda and me, along with others, on a trip to one of our fields in Togo, West Africa, earlier this year. Hey, Will.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So, Will, why are you an ILAD donor?
Yeah, so as a capital allocator, right, my day job is I invest in technology startups. One of the first things I look at is the team, right? Is this the right team to execute against a quantitative forecast for how they measure their impact, right? Their profit, their revenues, however they measure that. So I was immediately impressed by the way that you quantitatively measure human flourishing with an extremely academic way to go about that. And then I was invited to come down to Dallas in May of 2022 and meet the team. And I was just blown away by the caliber of the people that run ILAD. Brenda lived in Togo for over 10 years and speaks the local Awe language. So amazing being in Africa and seeing Brenda speak the local language, and everyone's so shocked, like, whoa, how do you do that? I mean, it's definitely a testament to how they really focus on local people, solve local problems, and live amongst the people for so long to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing up those things. And also, as you joined us on that trip to Togo, can you tell us a little bit more about what you saw there, people you saw there, things like that?
Yeah. So continuing that theme of wanting to make sure these are the right people to execute against the objectives of the organization. So I had the opportunity to fly to Togo, West Africa this summer, and I got to meet the people that were doing this holistic development, right? Like many of you, I've heard the pitch from ILAD a bunch, but I actually went and saw the people that were running the demonstration farm so that these families could lift themselves out of poverty. I got to meet the doctors that were meeting just basic healthcare needs. I got to meet the people that were like actually figuring out how to holistically help with education and all other aspects of that we take for granted in other parts of the world. But I got to meet the people. I got to shake their hands. I got to hug them. It was just an absolutely incredible experience.
Yeah. Now, what can you tell us about the need in that region?
Yeah, the need is great. I mean, I can only imagine if my children had to walk miles and miles and miles just to get clean water, right? I can only imagine the nearest hospital being many hours away or even accessible whatsoever, right? I can only imagine like my kids not being able to go to school. So the contrast between what I experience and what they experience there is just absolutely tremendous. It breaks my heart that just a 10-hour plane ride from New Jersey and you're in the middle of the poorest of the poor around the world. And there's a lot more that we can do to help.
Yeah. Now, I know the first project that you were involved in with ILAD was getting a well drilling business up and going there in Togo. And Brenda mentioned that well drilling business a little earlier, how it drills for-profit wells near the capital, but then it drills free wells out in villages that can't afford it. And we actually, on our way out to the demonstration farm, when you were with us, Will, we actually came upon one of the wells that you helped fund. Can you tell us a little bit more about that encounter?
Yeah, so after we'd been driving miles and miles and miles, very, very bumpy road. I mean, these were not paved, smooth roads. This was very bumpy roads for I don't know how long that took. We came across these children, just absolutely adorable children that were happy and jovial. And, you know, we were with Latte and Brenda in the car, and they rolled down their window and they were just joking back and forth and talking in the local Awe language, right? They were very impressed by Brenda speaking their language. And that contrast of like, they were happy and jovial, even though they had just walked God knows how many miles to get to this well. And those of us that have water and all kinds of other things, we tend to not be as, so the happiness of people that were in this level of poverty really struck me. And I just remember being both simultaneously just appreciating how jovial and how much fun these children were having while being in the middle of this abject poverty. It was certainly an experience.
Yeah. And that there is a picture that I think you snapped during that encounter.
Oh yeah, I had to roll down the window and take that. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's all exactly why we're here. Will, thank you so much for being willing to share all of that with us.
For sure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all the great work y'all are doing.
Yeah. So now I would like to bring on our final guest, Charles Pearson. Charles is a member of ILAD's board of directors. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you tonight?
Great. Thank you.
Charles, you don't strike me as much of a TikToker, am I right?
Not at all.
Okay. So you might have missed a trend happening throughout social media earlier this year. It was called A Day in the Life. And people of all backgrounds would make a short video showing what a normal day in their life looks like. So maybe a video would have been titled A Day in the Life of a Businessman Working at Microsoft. And then he would show his day. Or a day in the life of a professional athlete. And then she would show her whole daily routine. Things like that. I would like to go ahead and show one of these videos. This one's a day in the life of a mother who works from home in America.
Great.
Okay, so we wake up at 4 a.m. every day because I like to get a lot of things done before the world's fully awake, which of course means coffee, but don't judge me because it's coffee with protein. So I'm going to eat my Cheerios with bananas, essential, and write out my to-do list because I can't live without it. Then I'm going to work on the computer. Not nearly how long it took, but no one really wants to watch that. Then my baby wakes up and we do my favorite thing, which is go outside and water my plants while she eats some snacks. Side note, my watermelons are getting so big. I'm so excited. You have no idea. Of course, I'm going to need another cup of coffee. Then Sophie's going to go to work with me. You know, benefits of it being the next room over. But really all she does is make a big mess and scratch me in the face. But it's okay because I love her and she still works very hard. Props to her. Then I'm going to work on the computer for not nearly as long as I'm showing. But now the fun part begins. Work is over. Snack time. Then we're going to go to football. And that's Troy, he's 4. And we're gonna play with Sophie and have some fun. And then we got McDonald's, and Troy got a toy, and Sophie got some French fries. So that's it. See y'all next time.
Pretty normal American day, right?
Yep.
Some football, some McDonald's, things like that. Very American. Now let's actually watch a very similar video. Well, similar in the type of genre. Let's watch a normal day in the life of a West African mother.
Cool.
When the roosters crow, I get up and brush my teeth with my chewing stick, which is essentially a fruit stick. I then roll up my sleeping mat and gather my children to go get water. There is no nearby gym, but I get my workout in the 3-mile trek to get water and carry it back. The extra bonus workout is the 20-pound child on my back. I then work in the field. This consists of hoeing in the hot sun, again with a baby on my back. Achoo! I cut myself. Nothing I haven't done 50 times before. After working, I take my bucket bath. I try not to use too much water because I don't need another workout today trekking all the way back to the well. Now that I'm clean, I go to the market. I have to decide between the ingredients for my family's meal and the soap we need to stay clean. I only have enough money for one. I chose the ingredients. At least we'll have a good dinner tonight. I go home and cook over an open fire. After dinner, we light our lamp so that the son can do his homework, and we spend the rest of the evening talking by the fire.
Wow. So our theme again tonight is spot the difference. Charles, what are some differences you see there?
Yeah, so certainly saw beauty in both stories, right? And a lot of similarities, but uh, s- the stark difference that just jumps out at me is the access to water, right, and electricity. Having been to Togo with my family and getting to see a lot of this firsthand as well. I mean, we get up and we brush our teeth not with a stick, but with the toothbrush and toothpaste, and turn the water on. We have instant water. We turn on the electricity to heat that water for our coffee or our hot drinks. And it's also very convenient. And I can't imagine having somebody in the family, and usually it's in this case, it's the women that are the gatherers that have to walk this distance, 3 miles. I'm thinking to myself, okay, 3 miles there and back, carrying a child, and then a 5-gallon cistern that weighs about 40 pounds, and I'm going to put on my head. It's going to take at least 2 hours of extra time in my day to accomplish, the very basic things that you need to do for the day. It really jumps out at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also part of that video was, having to decide, you only have enough money for either soap or ingredients for dinner.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever had to make a decision like that.
Right. Really, really difficult choices. The things about the cut that happened, right? And I know once I was with my daughter and we were camping, it was along the Brazos, and there was a rattlesnake that came and really scared me, because we were out in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, if she had been bit at that moment, how would we have gotten her help? And that's what so many people in so many parts of the world face every day with a cut, or in this case, there are all kinds of poisonous snakes in the area where they work, and that's life threatening. Even if you can get access to medicine, do you have the transportation to get there? And we would just quickly with a cut go get our Neosporin and our bandages, and if it were really bad, go to the local emergency hut and get treated. But it's just not that convenient.
Right. We are so blessed. Many of the locations we work, medical care is not something accessible, either because of, like you mentioned, lack of transportation, or simply just what money are you going to pay for it with?
Right.
And I don't want to get overly morbid here, but in an effort just to be real, our team has had acquaintances and even friends in some of these regions die this year, over what would have been quite treatable illnesses. And in some case, the life-changing difference could have been made for only 400 American or USD, United States dollars.
Wow.
Only $400 could have made the difference between life and death, or treatment or no treatment, for some of our friends who had died this year. So with that in mind, I maybe just have a challenge. Even if you've already given tonight, I'm wondering if you would be willing to give again. Would you be willing to give another 400? And if I know that's a big ask, so maybe pool with some of the people at the watch party. If you're at a watch party, can you guys come up with another $400 to make a life-changing difference around the world? And again, I know that's not a small ask, but I also know how far your dollar can go in regions like the ones that we're working in. So that's my ask. Charles, what about you?
That's a great ask, Michelle. I'd like to encourage folks to think about what they are given to tonight. I think we've got a slide that talks through some of these opportunities. Our goal is $200,000 tonight. And this has been a difficult year for a lot of organizations, nonprofits, the economy, interest rates, everything else. And ILAD is shorter than we have been. And so we're really counting on the money raised tonight to be able to continue projects and programs like what you're seeing on the screen, the English classes for the pre-literate refugees. I mean, if you're not moved by those videos, I was fortunate to be born in a place that wasn't that like that. Business training for entrepreneurial refugees and entrepreneurial Togolese in West Africa. Really not just giving them fish, but teaching them how to fish and really teaching them how to be business people so that they can convert from one thing and make a more substantial living for the purpose of human flourishing with the families, which is generational, right? Training for our rural African farmers. I've been there firsthand, and I can't express enough to people seeing cotton farmers that would produce cotton and they would take months, 6 months sometimes for the government to pay them for that crop. And it was pennies on the dollar. And being able to provide a market and training to switch from cotton to pineapple or something else. And in this case, the pineapples, and these farmers are able to make 4 to 10 times what they were able to make with cotton and get paid immediately is life changing.
Yeah.
I'd encourage you this way tonight. You've got a QR code, you've got a call or text. My wife and I have this conversation all the time, and we challenge each other to be sacrificial in our giving. What does that mean? It means giving to the point where it's a little uncomfortable, maybe even a lot uncomfortable, because when we give at that point, we are making a sacrifice that's going to help somebody else and help change their lives. And so I want to encourage everybody to think about sacrificial giving tonight. It might be a great time for our update to see where we are, Michelle, but please think about coming alongside, being a monthly donor, being an annual donor, and being a sacrificial donor, because the funds that we're needing to raise tonight are absolutely critical for this organization.
Yeah, before our final update, actually, I want to give people a couple more minutes to make their donations. But before we show the final update for the night, I actually believe that we have some drawings and some prizes for the watch parties.
That's
So while
always
you're making your final donations, and actually it doesn't have to be your final one, you can keep giving tomorrow and the next day. But I have the results from our watch parties. Those were each worth $4,000. But before we do that, we actually have 3 random drawings. Now, I have a basket here with the names of everybody who registered for this event. I don't know if you can see this. And I'm going to randomly pull out 3. If I pull out your name, you do have to be present to win. Go ahead and call that number on the screen, or you can text it. We just need to know your name, that you are present, and which project you would like the $1,000 to go to. So the first winner is Misty Salvi. Misty Salvi, if you are watching, text us or let us know which project you would like that $1,000 to go to. The next winner is Tyler Depke. That is actually one of our teammates, even one of our own. So let us know what project you would like that $1,000 to go to, Tyler Depke. And Charles Pearson. Charles Pearson. Let us know, Charles, where you would like that to go.
Hey, that's fantastic.
All right. Now, sorry, third place with 12 people at his watch party. In her watch party, Shannon and Tanya Caraway, with 12 people, they are sending $4,000 to the Togo Development Project. Thank you, guys. Second place is with 13 people, is the Whitaker Party, and they want their $4,000 to go to the Azerbaijan Refugee Education Program. And first place, drum roll please, with 16 people, the Depkes, and they want their $4,000 to go to the Guinea Farm Project. Woo!
That's outstanding.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Now with that, we could take a look at our progress tonight, and we will get an update as to what has been given so far. All right. I'm still waiting to hear an update. Let's see here. Oh, wow. $148,000 and $148,500.
All right.
So,
fantastic.
That is wonderful. Look at all the flourishing that has happened in that picture.
That is such great progress. You know, if there is someone out there that is moved, you're not sure you know, you want to give, you're not sure what you can do. There's so many different ways that you can do it. You know, again, text us and say, I'd like somebody to call me and talk to me. Maybe you could give a gift of appreciated stock that will help you financially with your tax records, but also help the organization. There might be somebody out there that says, you know what, I'll just finish it out. I've been blessed. I'm capable. I'm able. I'll write the check for the difference. Thank you. If you're able to do that, for that blessing, you will be part of this team and changing the lives. And there may be someone out there that would love in the future with your family to go and, like Will did, like my family did, and go and see and be part of a trip to see the work firsthand. Because I guarantee you, when you go, you'll be forever changed, and you'll see how the work that ILAD is doing is forever changing these families in these communities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Charles. Also, we are going to leave this link active, as Charles said, or as you just saw. We haven't reached our goal quite yet. We still need 50,000 more, and that $200,000 of a goal. That's not an arbitrary goal. We really do need that before the end of the year for our programs to all continue and not be in jeopardy. So please, if you enjoyed this, this link will actually turn into a recording of the evening, so you can share the link that you are watching this at. You can share that with people that might want to watch it and also make a donation. So you can share that link, encourage them to watch and give. And again, thank you guys for joining us. We really hope that you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving this week and a happy holiday season.
Amen. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. God bless you.